He is Dr. Silvio Cozzetto, the owner of Be Well Lifestyle Centers here in Southeast Michigan. Silvio, great to be with you.
Thanks for having me.
So, a little bit about you. Over 20 years now in this business, and you are a master chiropractor, but offer so much more. Chiropractic, massage, physical therapy, and spinal decompression. I want to ask you, though, about the name of your company, Be Well. When you think about that and wellness in general, what comes to mind for you?
I mean, in a nutshell, physiological health. The difference between physical and physiological to me is what's going on with your organs. You may have an amazing set of ripped abs and beautiful biceps and gorgeous skin, but what does your heart look like? What does your lungs look like? What do your lungs look like? I see these young people at the gym, ripped, beautiful. I'm almost envious of how great they look on the outside, but they're vaping right after the gym. They're eating horrible chemical processed foods. They don't look too good on the inside, and that to me is well.
You are focused on what is called holistic medicine. So as we jump into that topic, Silvio, explain first of all, what is holistic medicine?
So holistic is a generic term. It's almost like the word organic. It can mean so many different things. So I'll give you my definition of holistic is natural, in a nutshell. The whole there's holistic, there's allopathic. Allopathic is what we call today's medicine, where you have a symptom, you get rid of the symptom. Holistic is you have a symptom, you utilize the body's ability to remove the symptom by treating the whole body as one unit and allowing it to kind of take care of itself by giving it certain herbs, foods, exercises, so forth and so on.
I'm sure you have encountered a lot of people in your life who, when they hear holistic medicine and you start talking about herbs and different things that are untraditional, they probably roll your eyes. They probably roll their eyes a little bit.
Oh, I get called witchcraft all the time.
How do you typically combat that, or at least attempt to open their eyes to some of the things that you believe so strongly in?
Well, first I have a little sympathy for them for being naive to what's really out there. Here it is. If you believe in God, nature, whatever you want to call he, him, it, her, the earth gave us perfection. The second man touches it, it becomes imperfect. Why would you ever believe that we can manipulate what nature gave us already? That's simple.
There are so many different areas that go into being healthy. And you talked about, seeing somebody, and obviously looks are superficial and like having good skin and muscles and all that. But it takes a lot of work to be a healthy person. And this is something you believe strongly in. We were actually chatting off camera before we started recording.
Correct.
And I posed, the thought to you, well, everybody is trying to be healthy, but invariably we're going to have issues. And you said, well, you can actually always be healthy, but it takes a few things. You said it takes time, it takes energy, it takes work, and it also takes money.
Correct.
What do you mean by that?
So if I had you right now, let's say you were 125 pounds overweight, and I said, for the next 6 months, I want you to eat nothing but paper and maybe a little bit of a smoothie a day. You would lose a lot of weight. That's not a diet. But to some people, that's a diet. Diets are bullshit, period. Every diet works in the initial. If you want to be vegan, keto, whatever the heck you want to be, they're all going to fucking work, period. The question is, they're working on the outside. You lost a lot of weight. That's all we hear from people. You lost a lot of weight. You look great. You lost a lot of weight. You look great. Because we can't go, your heart is functioning better. You look great. Your lungs are breathing better. You look great. Your spiritual self is much more in tune. You look great. We've become so shallow in our what your look great means that we've lost sight of what true greatness is. And how are you achieving that? I mean, blood tests, urine tests, fecal tests, genetic tests, being aware of your true insides has become almost like looked down upon in our society. And I don't understand why.
And this is an area that you practice what you preach.
100%.
When we were talking about your daily routine and some of the steps that you take to keep yourself healthy. Tell us about that.
So I'm going to go out and I'm going to say sorry to all the nutritionists and registered dietitians out there, but um, diet matters less than sleep. If you have the perfect diet and no sleep, you're going to have problems. There's a couple studies out there. If people want to look them up, it's done with the firefighters, for instance, the ones that are they sleep, they wake up, they sleep, they wake up, they sleep, they wake up, and the prevalence of heart attack and physiological decrease in health is. I mean, it's been on the books for years. So sleep is probably the least studied, most important aspect before diet to me. Next is diet. I mean, obviously, you can't smoke cigarettes, drink beer all day long, eat processed foods, and get great sleep and be in health. But also, you can't eat perfectly healthy and have no sleep. So they kind of go hand in hand.
It's interesting you talk about sleep in that way because we live in a society now where there's so much emphasis on hustle culture, right?
Correct.
And part of that, you know where I'm going with this, is waking up early,
Right.
waking up before everybody else does to
Right.
to meditate, to exercise, to get out a couple of emails. And yet you say that it's very important to make sure you're getting how much sleep on average every night, would you say?
So it really depends on the body. We have this we have these set of rules: drink this much water, get this much sleep, do this much exercise, blah blah blah. It's really that's the problem is and I don't want to say it's American culture, but I'll say it's American culture. We've made a set of rules for everybody, and there isn't a set of rules for everybody. It's dependent on the person. If your circadian rhythms say 7 hours of sleep, then 7 hours of sleep. If your adenosine absorption, and I'll explain what that is in a second. If your adenosine absorption is a slower absorption rate because of the body's inability to absorb, or you drink a lot of coffee, you're going to change all of your rhythms. If you're getting lots of blue light, you're going to change your inability. So it's so much more. And I know it's like there's people out there going, "Fuck, this is just too much." It's not. It's a pain in the ass, just like anything. Like any job you take, you're going to go through hell to get to the success. Any person you date, you're going to go through hell learning them to get to the success. This is your fucking body. Like, go through hell. Go through the hell. Go through the pain. Go through the studying. Figure yourself out, and then fix yourself. I never understood that.
You mentioned adenosine absorption. You were going to explain what
So
that is.
what happens is it just in a nutshell, very simple. The body produces what's called adenosine. And as the body starts to build up adenosine, your body gets more and more tired, and then you sleep and the adenosine absorbs. If you don't absorb it all, you're tired throughout the day. If you drink coffee throughout the day, it blocks the body's ability to bind to adenosine. So then now you've got these free floating radicals, floating around, these adenosine radicals floating all over the area. And what happens? You're just fucking up the whole physiology. So really looking at that, and I'm guilty. I'll tell you right now, I love coffee. I'm better now at drinking. I think coffee has a 12-hour half-life, which means that if you drink a cup of coffee at 12 p.m., by 12 a.m., you're still going to have half the caffeine in there. So it's going to disrupt your ability to fall asleep properly. So really looking at when your body's tired. But the problem is we want to go out and eat late. We want to have these big meals. It's a social hour. I mean, I'll tell you right now, my friends make fun of me. I go out, if I go out for dinner, I drink tea, whatever. If I go to a bar, which I don't go to bars, but the last time I went to a bar, I drink water and lime. So I looked like I was walking around so everyone would just shut up.
So you brought up nutrition. So let's talk about that a little bit. You're a big believer in whole foods, and certainly, as you mentioned, there are different diets out there. But when it comes to eating whole foods and avoiding the processed stuff, what are the biggest benefits there?
So if you are, I'm going to take two extremes. Let's say you want to go completely raw, plant-based vegan. And by the way, I'm going to go on the record and say this. Regular veganism is bullshit. I was a raw, plant-based vegan for 15 years. I grew only the foods that I ate. I can tell you right now, eating those processed vegan foods is worse for you than anything you can imagine. And now let's take the other extreme, carnivore diet. Carnivore diet is meat, 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 meat. They're both going to make you lose weight. They're both going to improve your physiology. They're both going to give you the benefits you're probably looking for. In the beginning, this is what happened. during my vegan days, and I love the vegan diet. Only plant-based, raw plant-based vegan, which means you're not eating processed vegan foods. You're eating foods that are locally grown. Um, After about 15 years of going on that diet, I noticed that my testosterone levels were horrible. My skin was brittle. I had very low sex drive. I had very low ambition. My whole mental self was decreasing. My skin was just horrible. So I started to test myself, and I found that I was missing certain components from meat. When I added meat back into my life, it didn't get better. Then I realized I was eating this store-bought junk meat. So I changed it. And when I went to local farm, grass-fed, grass-finished meats, instantly everything got better. So I started to realize that there's no diet for me. There's a timeline. This diet's working for me now. Check my physiology. Now it's this diet. Check my physiology. Now it's this diet. There's modifications that need to go.
It's interesting you bring up the carnivore versus the vegan conversation, because there's so many people out there that don't eat meat, and there's been documentaries on Netflix and things like that talking about how meats can cause cancer and things of that nature. But it sounds like what you're saying is everything in moderation based on how it makes you feel.
To a point, strawberry causes cancer, if you want to use that logic.
Okay.
So how does a strawberry cause cancer? If I get a strawberry from Venezuela that's been sprayed with pesticides and that's all I eat, strawberries cause cancer. If I eat meat that's full of hormones and antibiotics and full of pesticides, meat causes cancer. I can promise you from an educated aspect that whole foods, properly grown, no pesticides, no chemicals, no GMOs, no on either the meat or the strawberry side is not going to cause cancer. It's going to help the body. But you can't just eat a strawberry or eat some meat and cure cancer. It doesn't work like that. It's the body's inability to keep your cells healthy because it's fighting all this other bullshit you're feeding it.
I talked about you practicing what you preach. So tell us about your diet. What does a normal day look like for you in terms of what you are consuming?
So the human body works beautifully when it functions properly. It knows when you are going to eat certain foods. If you eat those foods every day around the same time, your body will set itself up to start to produce certain enzymes and to produce certain gastrointestinal functions to know that it's going to get this food. So every morning, and someone told me this, and I laughed at them, and then I started to do it, and I'm like, holy shit, this works. Go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time. When I wake up, I bring in light to my eyes to let my body know it's time to wake up. I hydrate. Usually use coconut water. I like the electrolytes in coconut water. I'll talk about why water isn't water another time with you, but water isn't water. If you're going to drink water, just do like a natural spring water. I wake up after my body's kind of woke. Then I eat more proteins in the morning. I don't want to spike my sugars. I'll eat eggs from a farm. Maybe a little bit of raw cheese. I don't like regular cheeses. They're processed, highly processed. Maybe a little bit of beef, grass-fed, grass-finished. Very important, because grass-fed just means it was fed grass at one point.
Yeah, tell us the difference there.
So grass-fed means it was fed grass. Grass-finished means it was always fed grass, and it died, and fat was fed grass. And they usually come from better farms where the animals are treated humanely. And then, throughout the day, I love berries. Berries are great if you're diabetic. They're not going to spike your sugar as much. And not berries and sugar and berries and syrup, but like real berries. I'll throw them in a smoothie. I drink what's called the $100 smoothie. Be Well has the $100 smoothie. What is the $100 smoothie? It's about 15 years of my research. It has over 200 different herbs in it, mushroom blends, things that most people have not heard of, that I have over the years studied and put into my smoothie. So I drink that every day. And, people laugh at me. Oh, this smoothie's $100. What does it have, gold in it? Well, we go to a restaurant. We spend $100 on a steak. We spend $500 on a bottle of wine. That's just a piece of meat and some grapes. This is actually life. And then I just kind of throughout the day eat, a little bit of organ meats, which I think are extremely important to have on the way that I work out and what I'm trying to achieve and my mental strain from the business that I'm in. And then between 3:30 and 4:30, I stop eating. I am a huge advocate for intermittent fasting. I stop the blue lights. I actually walk around sometimes in my underwear with my blue light blockers on, looking the way I look, and then meditate, go to bed, and hope to sleep through a full night.
Okay, so a couple follow-ups based on some things you just said. You said organ meats.
Correct.
Explain what those are and why.
So, if you look at any animal in nature that is a meat-eating animal, the first thing they do when they kill their prey is go for the organs. Our grandparents, I'll give you right now, our grandparents lived, and people always say, oh, back then they didn't live as long. Bullshit. They lived a lot longer and they lived a lot stronger. 50, 60, 70 years old. People are having hip replacements, shoulder replacements, knee replacements. They are falling apart. They're in walkers. Don't tell me your great grandparents were that weak. They were strong. They were bulls. And what were they eating? They were eating organ meats. They were eating tons. Liver was a huge delicacy. Now it's ugh. They were eating raw fruits and vegetables. They were drinking raw milks. Everything was not processed. There was no NutraSweet in it and all this other bullshit.
My grandmother made chopped liver, and now
love chopped liver.
Now I know why she lived to 97.
Of course, no, it's a huge. What do your body? It's like you take your car to the gas station. You're like, my car needs super. It's a high efficiency engine. And then fuck my body.
All right, so here's another one. You said you stop eating on the earlier side, and I've heard a lot about this too, the importance of not eating too close to bedtime and how that can impact your sleep. From your perspective, why is that such a big deal?
So when you're sleeping and your body is processing foods and moving around, it's not resting. Sleep is really simple in a nutshell. It's the repair cycle. That's it. You fuck up your body, it repairs it. If it's eating, if it's digesting, it's not repairing. It's not sleeping. I use an Aura Ring every night. I love Aura Ring. Because I like to know how I'm sleeping. When's my REM sleep? When's my deep sleep? When's my light sleep? How many times did I wake up throughout the night? I like to get those levels in my life so I can see what's changing. And there's those times, like my son's birthday was a couple weeks ago, and for his birthday we went out to eat. It was the first time in a long time that I ate that late. It was like 6:30, 7 o'clock, and my sleep was shit. It was garbage. And was it psychological? Maybe. I don't know. But people say a placebo effect. If it affects you, I don't care if it's placebo or not. It still affected you.
You also mentioned the blue light, and this is another big topic of conversation because everybody I know, before they go to bed, what are they doing? They're watching TV or they're surfing on their phone. Horrible. Why?
So, and it's funny because if I on my iPhone, I have this thing where you click it 3 times and it turns the light red. But there's still an emission. It still emits a little bit of a blue light. Blue light tells the body it's time to wake up. Blue light tells the body to the adenosine, stop producing it. Whatever's there is there. It's time to wake up. Don't go to sleep. Don't put the mechanism of absorption out, and you don't sleep very well. That's where the blue light blockers come in. Blue light's good for you in the morning, but not at night because it disrupts your sleep.
Let's get into exercise now, because there's so many people out there that are running and doing CrossFit and bicycling and yoga and all these different things, and with that comes the risk of getting hurt.
Correct.
And you see a lot of people who come to you, as a chiropractor, where they've tweaked their back, they got a sore shoulder, their neck is stiff, what have you. What is the best way to approach exercise in terms of trying not to get injured? Or can you even do that?
So you're going to get injured, period. You're just like you're going to get injured. There's going to come a time you're going to have a small injury, large injury. I hope it's only a small injury. I hope it's no injury, but you're going to get injured. So knowing the patterns, I'm a huge believer in patterns. That's another topic. But my whole psychological aspect is patterns. Everything's a pattern. So if you're a runner, you're going to have hip, low back, knee, and ankle possibilities for injury. You're not going to injure your neck unless you fall. If you're a power lifter, you're going to injure your shoulders, your biceps. So think about what injuries may occur and how to counter them. Also, when you're exercising, and I know this is going to sound extreme, but too bad. I have these Iron men and women that are training for these unbelievably intense, I don't know,
endurance races,
yeah,
endurance competitions.
exactly. And I'm like, are you filming your body on the treadmill to make sure your legs are moving where they move? Are you eating properly and sleeping properly? And they're like, no. Well, how can you expect how can you expect the body to function properly? I mean, these freaking, I used to, one of my old friends used to have race horses, and I'd go and see the race horses. These things were treated like they were filming them run. They were hooking them up to all these machines, doing blood work and urinalysis and fecal samples and constantly testing them. And these are horses. Like, we should be doing the same shit to ourselves. Exercise is extremely important, and it needs to be done properly. And I don't say do all that stuff because I'm trying to avoid injury. I'm trying to enhance what you're doing.
Where does chiropractic enter into the conversation, Miko? Because there's a lot of people out there that really don't know what a chiropractor does and what the benefits are of seeing one on a regular basis.
So really simple. You have a bunch of movable bones in your spine. Those are all joints, just like your finger joints, your wrist joints. They have to move. And if they don't move in full range of motion, the muscle shortens. And when the muscle shortens, it begins to atrophy. If there's too much pressure on the joint, then you're going to have arthritis will form over the years. You don't just wake up one day with arthritis. It's a slow process. Or you're going to have a bulging disc or herniated disc. What does chiropractic do? It moves the joint. Period. I see all these chiropractors that are like, oh, I cure this and I cure this. I don't cure anything. Your body handles itself. I just remove the fixations. Done.
So the spine really, as you said, it has an impact on all the muscles in the body.
Correct. And the nerves. Your brain runs through your spine. Your spinal cord is an extension of your brain, which then sends the nerves out. So if you have these little holes called foramen where the nerves enter or exit the spine and into the muscle organ, and if there's a pinch in there, here, I'll give you a good one. The weight of a hair on a nerve can trigger what's called the sympathetic response. You ever almost get into a car accident and you get that, oh my God, I'm shaking feeling? That's a sympathetic response. So it stimulates the nerve continually. You really want that going to your heart muscle? So,
okay, fair enough. Traditional doctors, you are big on holistic medicine, and this is interesting because you describe a traditional doctor not as healthcare, but as sick care. What do you mean by that?
Well, you've never gone to your doctor and said, hey, I feel really amazing. Let's keep me going. No, you go, I feel like shit. Fix me. I've never been one of those chiropractors or people that are anti-medicine. I'm anti-medicine abuse. If you're overweight, you don't need to get on the drugs to stop you from being.
Pick it up right there. If you're overweight, pick it up from there.
Sorry. If you're overweight, you don't need to get on.
Okay.
I had it on silent. I don't know what happened.
It's all right. All right. Pick it up there if you're overweight.
So if you're overweight, you don't need to take all these drugs that are going to have so many different side effects. You need exercise and nutrition. And I know that there's going to be, exceptions to the rule. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about stereotypical general right now. We've turned our doctors into these amazing healthcare people. I have a major respect for the medical industry. I have a major disrespect for the way many of them have taken it. You're not healthy because you're on metformin or because you're getting insulin shots when you're still eating like shit. You're unhealthy with a Band-Aid on it. If you're eating healthy, if you're exercising, and you're on that, you're doing much better. So my point is, I'm trying to prove that there's a time and a place for it. We need to look at nature again. We need to go back to nature.
And this is interesting too. The word disease, and obviously there are a lot of terrible diseases that people have, and it's very unfortunate, but you actually are able to break down the word disease. Tell us about that. So
dis-ease, the inability for the body to be at ease. Here, I'll give you a good one. If you want to spend the time, take every pharmaceutical out there, every single side effect, and then on the other column, write down every natural occurring dysfunction, disease. You're going to have a list 100 times more. A lot of our problems are a result of side effects of certain chemicals. Now, you do have to weigh it out. I'll give you a good example. My father just passed away recently. He had kidney failure. He didn't need to be on a holistic nutrition diet. He needed medicine, period. That's what kept him alive. The medical doctors, the medical staff, the medical teams, the medicine kept him alive. And thank God for that. Years ago, when he was starting to break down, should he have been on medicine? No, he should have been taking the natural approach. So there comes a time where you fucked up so bad that you can't go back. And that's what happened to him. And it's very personal to me because, I was on that trail a little bit too because of the habits that I formed for my family.
You also look at health as, and I think you mentioned this earlier in the conversation, physiological health. What is physiological health to you, Silvio?
So physical health is nice abs, nice pecs, nice butt, nice, whatever. Physiological health is nice heart, nice lungs, functioning kidneys. How are your internal aspects working? Your internal organs working?
Okay, interesting. If people are listening to this and they want to know where they should start in terms of looking into holistic medicine, or maybe they're having pain, or maybe they are having trouble sleeping, or maybe they want to lose weight, what do you tell people? Because obviously you can't do everything all at once,
right.
But what are some places they can actually start?
So I taught yoga for 20, 30 years. Actually, I'm a huge advocate for yoga, meditation. It's really dependent. Are you stressed out and can't sleep? Learn meditation. Take a nighttime yoga class. You'll sleep better. If you want to look at it from a herbal aspect, there's chamomile, there's valerian root. Stay away from melatonin, really not good for you. Another episode. But there's so many things out there you can do. Sleeping pills are not helping you sleep. They're just shutting down your body, but they're not allowing your body to go through the benefits of the deep sleep. Really just kind of, look at the major aspects. Like I said earlier, I'm a huge advocate for sleep. Start with the sleep. I'm a huge advocate for herbs and diet. Start with the diet. A little bit. If you are eating 10 pieces of chocolate cake and 4 big gulps a day, eat 9 and 1 big gulp. If you're smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, change over to something like an organic cigarette, and then smoke a half a pack of cigarettes a day. Don't try to quit cold turkey. That's where we fail.
Great stuff, and we appreciate your insights, and tell people if they would like to learn more about you and about Be Well, where they can do that.
So BeWellLifestyleCenters.com. My office is in Birmingham. I have another office in this phenomenal place called UWM. I have another office opening up in Berkeley, and hopefully soon we'll start to take over the country.
Dr. Silvio Cazzetto, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.